everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. This is live number 3. Michael Gray Jr. has pled guilty to child abuse, criminal negligent homicide in the deaths of his brother Jonathan, adoptive brother Jonathan, and adoptive sister Sophie. Thank you for joining me. WATE News is the source.
Today on another guilty plea in a horrific child abuse case, this time from Michael Gray Jr., son of the couple who pleaded guilty in exchange for life in prison. The son's sentence, much lighter, 1 year in prison, 7 years of supervised probation. I'm going to give you a look now at a live picture from inside the courtroom here in Knox County. The judge going over details of the plea, asking Gray if he understands and agrees. Just moments ago, prosecutor read through the specifics. Gray is agreeing to plead guilty to 4 counts, 2 of them felonies, 2 misdemeanors. The most serious of those, criminally negligent homicide in the death of Gray's adopted brother, Jonathan. And the other felony, abuse of a child under age 8, is for what happened to another adopted sibling, Sophie Gray. He's also pleading to misdemeanor child abuse of 2 other unnamed adopted siblings. Now, Gray's mother and father pleaded guilty Monday in a Roane County courtroom to murder charges over the deaths of those adopted children. Their pleas meaning both will spend the rest of their lives in jail. These plea deals filled out our understanding of the treatment of the children adopted by the Grays, kept in a filthy basement, sometimes with little or no food, 2 of them passing away, buried at the couple's homes, one in Knoxville, the other in Roane County.
Wow.
We're going to have more from this latest part of the court process starting for you today at 4 o'clock.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. That's WATE News. I'm going to recap that information. Son pleads guilty in child murder case after parents sentenced to consecutive life sentences. This sentence was just rendered this morning. Thank you for joining me. The third person charged in a child abuse case stretching back several years in Roane and Knox counties has pleaded guilty. Michael Gray Jr. pleaded guilty to 2 felonies and 2 misdemeanors on Friday, May 17. The most serious charge is criminally negligent homicide in the death of Gray's adoptive brother, Jonathan. The other felony, abuse of a child under age 8, is what happened to another adoptive sibling, Sophie Gray. He also pleaded guilty to misdemeanor child abuse of 2 other adoptive siblings. He has been sentenced to 1 year in prison and 7 years of supervised probation. Gray Jr. was arraigned November 2020 in Knox County on 17 charges, including felony murder and aggravated child abuse. On May 14, 2024, just a few days ago, Gray's parents, Michael Gray Sr. and Shirley Gray, received consecutive life sentences after they pleaded guilty in a child abuse case, which included an investigation into the death of 2 of the couple's children. These plea deals filled out our understanding of the treatment of the children adopted by the Grays. They were kept in a filthy basement, sometimes with little or no food. 2 of them passed away and were buried in the couple's homes. So we had 2 locations of 2 children found. 1 child was found in Roane County. 1 child was found in Knox County, that is outside the city limits of Knoxville. The child who was found in Knoxville, in Halls, this is where the son lived, Michael Gray Jr. And so you hear 17 charges originally, only pled guilty to 4. So obviously he took a plea deal. The state offered it. Should they have offered it? Stay woke now. Because the parents were living with him at one time. So do the math. The parents were living with him at one time in the Halls home and then moved to Roane County with the adoptive children. So possibly, or I don't know how it went, they killed 1 child while living in Halls at that house with the son, Michael Jr., and then moved to Roane County and then killed the other child there at some point. Because there's probably a year to 2 interval of them killing both of the children, burying them in the backyard of each house. So we have 2 separate locations, 2 deceased children, a boy and a girl, Jonathan and Sophie. So what you have to ask yourself is the obvious. Mr. Gray, you knew that there was a child buried on your yard, in the backyard, because that was your house allegedly. We also learned in this investigation that the property swapped hands, I'm assuming titles, and to whom has the house now, since you're going to be doing 1 year? Obviously, you have to pay taxes on the house if it's owned outright. So somebody's going to have to pay your yearly tax. Lucky for you, it's only 1 year. Does he currently own that home now in Halls, Michael Gray Jr.? Both of his parents have received consecutive life sentences. The state was seeking the death penalty for the deaths of Sophie and Jonathan, rightfully so. But I'm sure they took into account their ages. They are in their 60s. So they figured they're going to die in here anyway. And by the time it gets on the books for the death penalty, they probably would have already expired. That's my logic. Was this the appropriate sentence? Because how do you go from 17 charges down to 4? And as I said, his parents lived in that house where the one body was found before they moved out to Roane County. 17 charges. And aggravated child abuse. He only pled guilty to 2 felony charges for criminally negligent homicide for Jonathan and abuse of a child under the age of 8, Sophie. And then child abuse, 2 misdemeanor charges for 2 other children who obviously are alive. And as one of those children said, they will finally get to go be in a prison like the one they put me in their basement. You know, half decent looking 2-level house they showed here in the news clip. You know, nothing extravagant. But the point is, one, why did you take these children in? How long did the kids live with them before they were adopted? Because I'm assuming they probably fostered the kids first and then adopted them. I don't know. They haven't given any information pertaining to the order of how they came to adopt these children. But the point is, we're talking about 2 deceased, and 9 times out of 10, physically, mentally abused, and also starved to death. And as I brought you content the other day, that one of the children or more was using a bucket for defecation. Now imagine that. So you mean to tell me you're living in this 2-level house, there was no plumbing in that house? There was no running water in that house? So how did you all use the bathroom? Stay woke, everybody. How did you all use the bathroom, Mr. and Mrs. Gray? Shirley. That's not a name I really care for. That's another story. Shirley, Shirley, Shirley. Michael Gray Sr., please explain to the Queen how you all were using the restroom if there was no plumbing, because I refuse to believe you turned the plumbing on and off, and so the children couldn't use the bathroom. Keeping them in a basement, they said was unfit, probably cold. Probably wasn't finished. As you see, a lot of newer homes and older homes, they have finished basements. So I doubt that the Grays had a finished basement that they threw these children in. So you're just getting what? Monies? You have to be getting monies because one's going to say, what's the point? And it's not to say it's right to abuse a child, but usually this is the logic behind abusing the children, hiding the children, starving the children. You're getting something out of it, some sick enjoyment. So besides the sick enjoyment of torturing the children, you had to be getting probably monetary gain. And as I told you all before, I don't know the bylaws of Tennessee as far as getting a stipend for adopting kids, but if they fostered the children, you know they got money for them as foster parents. And perhaps they decided to go ahead and adopt the children. And obviously the state would tell them, you know, the protocols. So did they get monies for adopting the children? Still get a stipend every month for adopting the children out of foster care, because I'm assuming these kids came out of foster care. What a terrible existence. To come out of the womb of your mother and be mistreated or be taken away from your mother for whatever reason, go live over here, over there, this person's house, grandmama house, auntie house, cousin house, however it went with these kids, to only go into the custody of the Grays, to be starved, literally. And you're thinking to yourself, if you can even remember your mother and father. I had it bad over there. I had it bad over there. So what am I doing over here? Worse off than where I came from. And you're seeing a lot of that in the foster care system. The children are worse off with the adoptive parents and the foster parents than where they came from, where they were taken away. It's a cruel joke. To be mistreated by your parents, abused by your parents, physically, mentally, sexually, whomever, uncle, grandmama, whoever's doing the abuse, to only go into foster care or adoption, both, to be abused and end up dead. That's probably the cruelest joke running. House hopping as a small child, like Harmony Montgomery, the West Boys. Just hopping as a small child. Don't know where you're going to sleep. And just as quick as you get comfortable over here, somebody's coming to pick you up with your little bag, suitcase, and say, well, you've got to go. We're taking you somewhere else today. Because many people are going to question that. Well, why are these children so young and house hopping? You would think they want a kid, but we understand. Some people just want to be foster parents. They don't want to adopt the kids. They don't want to take care of them, continuously. Just open their doors until whatever next happens. Imagine that life. That's not a life for anybody. I don't care if you're a newborn, you're a toddler, you're school age, preteen, or a teenager. Hell, I don't even recommend that life when you're grown. As they call it, couch surfing. But it's more cruel for a child because they didn't ask to be here and they didn't choose their biological parents. And it's a cruel joke to house hop. 1 month you're here, 6 months you're here, another month you're over there, and everybody's got a different way of living. Everybody looks different, smells different, got different ideologies, different religious backgrounds. So one day you're Catholic, the next day it's Baptist, the next day it's Protestant. You don't know what to think. And what can you think at such a young age? House hopping. Michael Gray Jr. has pled guilty to 2 felonies, 2 misdemeanors in the deaths of Jonathan and Sophie Gray, who are no longer alive. His parents starved the children to death, assumingly. God knows what else they did to them. And that's the scary part of the story. Imagine what you don't know. Because I'm sure it went deeper than just, you can't have any food. He will be doing 1 year in prison and 7 years supervised probation. Oh, so Mr. Gray, when you come out of there, you getting ready to pay Knox County some serious money for 7 years, bro. 7 years of paying that probation fee, you gonna get tired of going in there. And I won't doubt they probably have you come in once a week. No phone calls, unless you're on your deathbed or you in the ICU or in the hospital, then they'll let you call them. But I won't doubt. Supervised means you're probably going in every week to see the probation officer. You also gonna have to hold down a job, naturally stay away from alcoholic beverages and any type of narcotics. You have to keep you somewhere to live. Imagine that. So where is he gonna live when he gets out of prison? I'm curious. Does he still own the home that he had in Halls? I don't know. Don't know much about his background. Don't really care. I just think the 1 year is not a good deal considering children were abused and 2 are dead. And you had to have known because you lived on the property with your parents. That was your house, allegedly. The one where one of the children were found. I believe it was the boy child. So one has to use deduction. You don't know that somebody's been digging in your backyard. Stay woke, everybody. Kind of like this situation with Chad Daybell. The defense attorney wanted an acquittal in the trial. How do you propose that? 2 kids were found in his backyard. How are you going to explain 2 dead kids in your backyard and you have been dating and seeing the mother while married, their mother, and then also you've married their mother, and her kids are in your backyard. Please explain how you think a judge would say, oh yeah, we'll just throw this right on out. They arrested in the Chad Daybell case. I did not discuss that case because I didn't want to. I'd had enough with Lori. I didn't feel like recapping the horrific details pertaining to those kids. Once again, the state rests, or it's the defense rests. One of them they've arrested in the case of Chad Daybell. Excuse me. We can go to my community page and see your answers pertaining to Michael Gray Jr.'s sentence. Thank you for joining me. This is live number 3, everybody. Feel free to go into YouTube queue and check out my other 2 short lives from this morning. Yes, Queen is on a roll today. Just bringing you the content. Trying to keep it short. Well, only 3 people voted. And I asked you, was this the correct punishment? And I spelled punishment wrong, but that's okay. 2 felonies, 2 misdemeanors, and the deaths of his adoptive siblings. 1 year in prison, 7 years supervised probation. Did the judge make the right decision? 100% said no. Please take that poll when you get time today. Thank you so very much. And let me read this nonsense here pertaining to Chad Daybell. Court TV has released jail calls between Lori and Chad. If you are interested in watching that content. And yes, the state has rested in the Chad Daybell case. Thank you so very, very much. Please check out my content pertaining to Sebastian Rogers and other breaking news. I'm going to discuss this case briefly about Terry Blair. Several years back, First 48 did a segment on some women who were found discarded in abandoned buildings in Kansas City. Well, they were interrogating, doing their job, trying to figure out who was killing these women, prostitutes. And they came across a suspect by the name of Terry Blair. And during this segment, he was arrested. I call him the Towering Inferno too, because he's a tall guy. Well, Terry has passed away. I do not know what he's passed away from, but he is no longer alive, and I'm going to bring you that said content. I think from what I remember from that case many moons ago, it's the early 2000s, that Terry had a problem with his wife. I don't know if she got on drugs or needed money, but she started prostituting, and he held a grudge against her for prostituting. Like, as I said, I don't know the circumstances for how this woman became a prostitute, but I think he held a grudge against her, and so he took it out on any woman that was known as a prostitute, so he started killing prostitutes. Fox 4 Kansas City is the source. Thank you for joining me. Lord have mercy. A young lady is going to give her a commentary who dated him as a teenager. And that's even more sick. Why was a child living in a house with Terry Blair? Imagine that. Dear God, what is going on? You just really don't know people. Just the stuff that goes on that you have. As we keep saying, especially in these cases like with Sebastian Rogers, Summer Wells, and some of the other true crime stories, with what you've heard and seen, the behavior of the people in the story, imagine what you don't know. That's what's scarier. It's what you don't know.
Everybody else, a serial killer is dead tonight, and the woman who lived with him as a teenager is speaking out. Terry Blair was already convicted of killing one woman when he was accused of targeting sex workers during the summer of 2004. Over to Fox 4 News at 10 o'clock tonight. I'm Kevin Barrett.
I'm Lauren Halifax. Those killings all took place on Kansas City's Prospect Corridor near where he lived. Tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from a woman who stayed with Blair for a time back then. He was 42. She was a teenager. Fox 4's David Marco live at KCPD headquarters,
Scary.
where 20 years ago, the investigation into these killings reached a nationwide audience.
And that's because those killings that really rocked Kansas City were profiled on the show The First 48. It was only through that show that Verinia Weekly discovered who the man she'd been living with really was. Verinia Weekly ran away from home at age 16, says a classmate connected her with a 42-year-old man who allowed her to stay with him on Prospect in 2004. In September of that year, a neighbor would find the bodies of two women in a garage.
I didn't know what he was doing, though, but as an adult, now that
Hold on one
I
second.
look back,
Let me go back to their saying.
Really was. Verinia Weekly.
These killings reached a nationwide audience.
And that's because those killings that really rocked Kansas City were profiled on the show The First 48. It was only through that show that Verinia Weekly discovered who the man she'd been living with really was. Verinia Weekly ran away from home at age 16, says a classmate connected her with a 42-year-old man who allowed her to stay with him on Prospect in 2004. In September of that year, a neighbor would find the bodies of two women in a garage.
I didn't know what he was doing, though, but as an adult, now that I look back, it's like the garage situation, like I was getting, it was just a weird feeling.
She remembers the dark apartment and her encounters with Terry Blair.
Like one time we were, and I got choked not real long, but for a hot second type stuff. I looked at him like, what you doing? And then he snapped out.
After less than a month, she returned home and to school.
And I remember her coming to school talking about her mom died, but it didn't dawn on me, that I was with the guy.
6 women were found murdered between 24th and 29th on Prospect or just off of it. A man called 911 over the course of multiple days, letting police know where to find the victims. Police eventually centered their investigation on Blair, who had recently got out of prison after more than 20 years for killing the mother of his child, allegedly because he was angry with her for prostitution. Blair was found guilty in 2008 and given 6 life sentences for the murders. Weekly hadn't heard of Blair's death over the weekend when we reached her today out of state. Her thoughts aren't with the serial killer.
I feel for the families, Definitely my classmates, my friends. I say he murdered her mom, So that's when my pain, my family, knowing I got away, but her mom didn't.
And family, a lot of the victims sharing those same sort of sentiments today.
I got away, but her mom didn't.
What in the world am I listening to?
And family, a lot of the victims sharing those same sort of sentiments today on social media. Meanwhile, as for Blair's family, if there were services for him to be held this week, Lauren, a lot of them couldn't actually be there. That's because they are convicted and serving sentences themselves in prison for separate murders.
Dave DeMarco, in case
Say what? What did he just say?
Meanwhile, as for Blair's family, if there were services for him to be held this week, Lauren, a lot of them couldn't actually be there. That's because they are convicted and serving sentences themselves in prison for separate murders.
Dear God.
Dave DeMarco, in case you
For separate murders. Are you all hearing this? Wait a minute, wait. So, who's going to claim the body for Mr. Blair? No one? No mothers, no sisters, no fathers, no brothers? Nobody. Did Mr. Blair have children? They said nobody will be able to attend services because they are incarcerated for murders themselves. Are you all hearing this? So I was going to ask, what type of life did Mr. Blair have? Was he violent before he found out his wife was prostituting, which allegedly led him on this killing spree to kill 6 women? Is that the total amount of women Mr. Blair has unalived? Don't know. This young girl living with him at the age of 16 because some girl told her about him. Now you got to question that. How did this girl know him to recommend this young lady to live with him? And what was going on with this young lady for her to run away? Did she have family problems, abuse, violence? What was going on in her life? And I could have sworn when I watched this first 48-hour segment years ago, I thought he had a woman living with him, a girlfriend who was watching the news. Maybe this is somebody else. But I remember the woman saying, I was watching the news and they were talking about the women being murdered. And all along, I'm sitting in the house with the murderer. I could have sworn that was the Terry Blair story, if I'm not mistaken. So many questions. Was he violent before he started killing the women? Some will say probably, because you just don't wake up killing women just because your wife or girlfriend is a prostitute. What led the girlfriend to be a prostitute, wife, or whomever? Where was she at the time he was killing these women? And was he going out killing women while this 16-year-old girl was living with him? You also hear her say he choked her, and then he snapped out of it. He didn't choke her alone. So what was the circumstance for him to just start choking her? So some people say, oh, Queen, you know he was already violent before the wife left, or he put her out, or whatever the circumstances were with the wife. You don't kill people just because somebody's doing something you don't like, such as prostitution, drugs. You just tell them, well, this relationship ain't working. You keep it moving. Was he violent with his wife, Terry Blair? But the fact of the matter, besides the deaths, besides the 16-year-old living with him, which is totally unacceptable, and one's going to also ask, was she having sexual relations with him? She don't mention that, of course. She went back home after a month. What is she doing now? Is she in a better place? Oh, I've lost my train of thought. I'm just curious about these family members who can't come to the funeral. The newsman said they are incarcerated for murders too. Exactly what he said. They, not her or him, plural. So how many people was this reporter speaking of? When you say they, them, they can't come because they are incarcerated as well for murders. So who did they kill, and who are you speaking of? His brothers, his sisters, a father? His mother? Where are his parents? Are they alive? Does he have siblings, Mr. Blair? Let's get down to the business. Terry Blair, a 62-year-old man serving a life sentence in connection to a string of murders in the Kansas City area, was found dead in his jail cell Saturday, May 11th, early Saturday. Lord have mercy. That would have been last week. Blair was found around 1:20 a.m. in his cell at Potosi Correctional Center. He was pronounced dead at the nearby Washington County Hospital in Potosi, Missouri. Wow. Blair had a lengthy criminal history that included the 1982 murder of Angela Moore. Blair was released on probation after 21 years of a 25-year sentence. Now, Angela Moore, I believe, was a wife or girlfriend, if I'm not mistaken. So he's already been to prison in the early 80s for murder, okay? Stay woke now. He's already gone, so that shows that he's violent, so I don't have to ask that question. I got my answer. He went to prison for killing Monroe. Forgive me. Released on probation after serving 21 years of a 25-year sentence. So 21, that's 3, 8203. So he wasn't even out of prison long before he started murdering prostitutes. Are you all paying attention to this? So is Angela Monroe, what you saying? Sorry. Is Angela Monroe the wife that he loathed that was a prostitute? Because ask yourself, the connection here. You've been gone for 21 years. You had 4 more years of a 25-year sentence to complete. And it states here, he would eventually be convicted in the murder of 6 other women, ranging in age from 25 to 28. Their deaths were all reported in a 3-month span between July and September 2004 in Jackson County, Missouri. The women were identified as Sheila McKenzie, 38, Anna Ewing, 42, Patricia Wilson Butler, 45, Darcy I. Williams, 25, Carmen Hunt, 40, and Claudette Junior, 31. This is bad. Oh, Lord of mercy. While he would be charged in the murders of 2 other women, those charges were dropped. Why were they dropped? Insufficient information, data, DNA. Why? Or is it because he got 6 life sentences for these women here? Oh, Lord. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Angela Monroe. Terry A. Blair, 62 years of age, has passed away in his cell last week. So I'm assuming he died of natural causes. No one has said that he was murdered. Very interesting. He was released on probation after the 1982 murder of Angela Monroe. He served 21 years of a 25-year sentence. So you can do the math. 21 plus 82. That was 2003 when he got out of penitentiary. So he only had a short stint out onto the street before being arrested for these murders of these women. And he was going to court, I guess, finally in 2008, where he was found guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder in 2004 of Sheila McKenzie, 38, Anna Ewing, 42, Patricia Wilson Butler, 45, Darcy I. Williams, 25, and Carmen Hunt, 40, Claudette Jr., 31. Let me see if I can find his arrest date. That way I know how long he was free on the street. Dear Lord. What a hot mess. Just don't know people. Then a child was living with him. Even scarier. Does he have any children, Mr. Blair? Curious. Oh. These stories, they just get worse and worse and worse. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is live number 3. Whew. I tell you, I can't keep up. Well, this content won't let me. Hold on, everybody. Trying to find something on him. Somebody can give me more information. Because he went to trial in 2008. So they said he was taken to the hospital Saturday morning after being found unresponsive, pronounced dead at the hospital. Once again, long history of violence. They said he killed a woman in 82, so they don't claim her as the wife. Arrested in the deaths of 6 women between September 2004. Their bodies were found in an area of Kansas City frequented by drug dealers and prostitutes. Blair was also suspected in the deaths of 2 other women, but those charges were dropped. I wonder why. Curious. Why they dropped those other charges? Oh, I'm trying to get some information. about let's see, when he was arrested. Thank you all so much for joining. One moment, everybody. I'm trying to get some information. I don't think he was out that long at all. Well, here it has September 14, 2004. So the women were murdered the same year he was apprehended, arrested. So 21 years, like I said, plus 82 is 2003. So he was only out for 1 year. What in the world? Oh, here's another article about him. Hold on one second, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to live number 3. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful weekend. Oh, Lord of mercy. So once again, he killed a woman in 1982. Okay. He served 21 years in prison. He was on probation when he was arrested. In the deaths of the 6 women who were killed in the period of July to September 2004, their bodies were found once again in an area where drug dealers and prostitutes frequent. Also suspected in the deaths of 2 other women. Those charges dropped. Boy, this content about him is short and sweet and to the point. So he allegedly got 25 years, but came out of prison on probation, which would have been 2003, and then got arrested again for murdering these women in 2004. Can you imagine this life of a person, a man, who's done nothing with his time but piddle away inside of prison walls? As I've seen some people say on my network pertaining to my other story of the young lady out of Georgia, Brianna Winston, who was killed by her living boyfriend. He had been cheating on her, married another woman January of this year, and then he killed her a few months later because they had an argument because she found out he was cheating on her. So like I said, you don't know who was first, her or the other Brianna. What are the odds? They both had the same name but spelled different. I thought that was just too much. The one that's dead, her name spelled B-R-I-A-N-A. And the other one is B-R-I-E-N-N-A, the wife. And she looks like a child herself. So she's been arrested too. His brother and mother, I believe they also was arrested for accessory after the fact, burning clothes and gloves. Law enforcement recorded a jailhouse phone call where he's trying to, get the family members to give rid of the evidence. So he had his wife get him a car to bring the body of the girl up here to Tennessee, or down to Tennessee rather, lower part of Tennessee. Carried her in a burn barrel, they said. Had a guy here in Tennessee help him discard her body off the highway and behind a cemetery behind a church. And they've given him immunity on some charges, because obviously he's given the information to what allegedly happened. And I guess he told that guy, I guess he's a friend of his, I don't know how he knew him, what happened. Hey, we fought, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then you strangled her and decided to burn her up and cut her up and bring her up here. Bring her to Tennessee. Oh, how nice. So the point is, as someone said on my video, why not just walk away? This is serious business. It's not working. Just leave. Exactly. Just like with this man. You killed a woman in 82, no matter what she was doing. Prostituting, getting high, doesn't matter. Okay, this is what you want to do with your time? I'm down. So you've gone to prison for murdering a woman. You get out 4 years earlier than you're supposed to of a 25-year sentence. You've done 21, and then you go straight to the street and start murdering women. What in the hell? Come on now. And I swear I believe he had a girlfriend at the time. Not this 16-year-old, but another woman. And I might be getting the stories mixed up. But I don't remember hearing anything about a 16-year-old girl living with him when they went to arrest him. So this is some interesting information. As she said, she feels lucky, the young girl. And then didn't you also hear her say she went back to school and some girl she knew was crying about her mother being deceased? And little did she know, the woman who was murdered by the man who she'd been staying with, Terry Blair. How small the world is. Just imagine that. You're listening to someone tell you, oh, my mother's dead. My mother was murdered. They found my mother, over here, over there. And then once the person is arrested, you realize, oh, wait a minute, snap. I was living with that person, sleeping with that person, or whatever they were doing, because I don't know what they were doing. Oh, yeah, he choked me. Dear God, I'm done. Wow, you can't make this stuff up. Yeah, you were one of the lucky ones. So the one he murdered in 82 was his girlfriend, Angela Monroe. He was arrested within weeks, according to court records. Blair confessed to beating Monroe because she was working as a prostitute. Wow, wow, wow. Dear God. Now, one article says convicted of murdering 7 women, so that's a little bit of different information. Oh, jeepers creepers. I don't think they're going to let me open this article. So he had a bench trial. So I see what they said. In order for him to get the other 2 charges dropped, the exchange was a bench trial. Prosecutors also agreed not to seek the death penalty. September 3rd, 2004, a man began making 911 calls. He said he had killed 2 women whose bodies had just been found by the police. So I think he was making calls anonymously to the police. This Kansas Star won't let me open this up. Everybody's so funny about you reading their content. Let me see what I can find about that. I was trying to see if he had a girlfriend living with him. So I thought he had a girlfriend at the time, not this 16-year-old girl. Wow, wow, wow. See the things you learn about true crime. Things you've never even heard before. Let's read that. "16 years ago, they got this." All right, everybody, let's see what we got on here, Mr. Blair. Terry Blair was the 4th eldest of 10 siblings and was born to a mother who suffered from mental illness and had only finished the 9th grade. He has 2 sons, Terry Blair Jr. and Marcel Johnson, and 2 grandsons, DeMarcus and Kaman Johnson. And I was wondering if he had any grandchildren, so he does have 2. Many in Blair's family have faced criminal charges, including murder. Blair's mother, Janet, shot and killed her common-law husband August 16, 1978. She entered an Alford plea for second-degree murder and was sentenced to 5 years of probation with the condition that she receive counseling, therapy, and psychiatric treatment. So this is what I'm talking about. Sins of the father and the mother. What led him down his road to kill that girlfriend, Angela? Because he could have just walked away once he found out she was a prostitute. So now we learn his own mother killed her common-law husband in 1978. How long were they living together? This is bizarre. Does he have any siblings that belong to that man that was living with his mother at the time? See, a lot of questions. It says she suffered from mental problems. What were her problems? Jesus Christ. 5 years probation with the condition that she received counseling, therapy, psychiatric treatment. What was wrong with Terry's mother? Because obviously, she passed down the gene to her son. 6 months later, Blair's brother, Walter Blair Jr., allegedly killed 16-year-old Sandy Shannon during a robbery. Walter was charged with capital murder, robbery, and assault, but the case was dropped after witnesses refused to testify. Oh, I'm sure they did. On August 19, 1979, Walter Blair abducted, and this is the same brother, then shot and killed 21-year-old Catherine Jo Allen. Allen was the alleged victim in a rape case, and Walter was paid $6,000 to kill her. What? He confessed to the murder, but later recanted. Walter was convicted of capital murder, sentenced to death, and executed July 21st, 1993, at the age of 32. This is wicked. Lord have mercy. Blair's sister, Warnetta U. Blair, her husband, Nola White III, and another man faced charges for the murder of James L. Bell, whose body was found on September 27, 1980. So when I brought you that, this is crazy to me. I'm not trying to laugh, but I'm stunned right now. I'm literally stunned. So when the reporter said at the end of this video, there's nobody to come see him, claim his body, have a funeral, he meant that. He had a mother who killed her common-law husband. He had a brother, let me get it right, killed a girl by the name of Sandy who was 16 during a robbery. Don't know if it was in a store, a house, what. He was charged with capital murder, robbery, and assault, but the case was dropped because the witnesses wouldn't testify, okay? Oh, gosh. Then in August of 1979, a year later, in 3 days, are y'all following attention? This is weird because, okay, I'm utterly confused. Janice, she shot her common-law husband August 16, 1978. So then the son kidnaps a girl. Don't know the timeline between that one, the 16-year-old. People don't testify, so he doesn't go up on those charges. And then the next crime is a year later, August 19, 1979. That's only a year and 3 days later from when his mother killed her common-law husband. Are you all paying attention? 1 year later, 1 year, 3 days later, Walter kills another 21, Catherine Jo Allen, because allegedly somebody paid him to do it. And that's not counting. He killed another female during a robbery before that, but nobody would testify. So he didn't even go up on the charges of killing Sandy during a robbery. And we don't even know that they don't even give us a date on that robbery. So the girl he killed, Catherine Jo Allen, a second person who was allegedly in a rape case, he was paid $6,000 to kill her. So maybe somebody went up to him and said, well, you got away with that other murder or that girl in that robbery. Here, I got a rape case. I'll pay you $6,000 for you to knock her off. Is that true? Because my thing is, you've already knocked off one person. How easy would it be for you to do it again? Very easy. I can't keep up. So once again, he confessed to that murder, killing Catherine Jo Allen, Walter, the brother, the one he was paid $6,000 to kill her for a rape case. But he recanted. He was convicted of capital murder, sentenced to death, and executed July 21st, 1993 at the age of 32. Blair's sister, Warnetta U. Blair, her husband, and Nola White III, and another man. Oh, Jesus. faced charges for murder of James L. Bell, whose body was found September 27, 1980. Bell had been stabbed 30 times. Ronetta agreed to testify against her husband in exchange for charges against her being dropped. However, state law forbids spouses from testifying against each other. In 1984, White III pled guilty to second-degree murder and received a 12-year sentence. So this is the husband of Ronetta. Oh, God, I can't keep up. White III would himself be murdered by his son and Blair's nephew. Nola White, I guess that's what, the fourth? In 2001, White the fourth pleaded guilty to second-degree murder for killing his father and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Are you all hearing this? Now, this is Terry Blair's sister, husband. She, him, and another guy stabbed someone 30 times, and Mr. Bell, in 1980. And Ronetta testified against Nola White III. Okay? It says she agreed to testify against her husband in exchange for charges being dropped. Hers being dropped. However, state law forbids spouses testify against one another. 84, White III pled guilty to second-degree murder and received a 12-year sentence. And then, later, White would himself be murdered by his own son and Ronetta Blair, nephew. Now, why? What happened there in 2001? White IV pled guilty to second-degree murder for killing his father and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. In December 1989, Ronetta killed her boyfriend, Pablo P. Gomez. What the hell? Everybody is just killing everybody. The mother... Wait. Oh, my goodness. I can't. I had no idea when that news reporter said all the people that he's related to, you know, you're not really believing, okay, they're locked up. You're just thinking, okay, who's locked up? The mother, the father? Hell, he meant it, everybody. So in 1989, Ronetta, the sister, killed her boyfriend, Pablo P. Gomez, a drug dealer from Cuba. Gomez's body was found bound and gagged, according to prosecutors. Gomez had threatened to cut off his girlfriend's supply of crack cocaine. Ronetta said she and a male friend did not intend to kill Gomez and only tied him up so they could take his drugs and money. She and her friend then went to a neighbor's apartment and said they had messed up Pablo before smoking crack that night. What? She and her friend then went to a neighbor's apartment and said they had messed up Pablo before smoking crack that night. Oh, Lord. In August of 1990, Ronetta pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received a 10-year sentence. She was released from prison December 1999. Well, where is she now? On June 25th, 1992, Blair's older brother, Clifford Miller, abducted a woman, forced her to perform oral sex at an abandoned house, and then beat her unconscious. The victim was hospitalized for more than 2 months. Wow. Her injuries consisted of a gunshot wound to the arm, a fractured skull, a broken jaw, and smashed cheekbones. The injury to the victim's arm was so serious that she had to get a bone in her arm replaced with metal. And I hear that's not the best feeling to get, metal put in, because a lot of people have metal plates. Okay, I'm starting to get real dizzy now. In 1994, Clifford was convicted of forcible sodomy, assault, kidnapping, and armed criminal action. He was sentenced to 2 life terms plus 240. This is the older brother of Terry Blair, okay? Clifford. In December 1999, another of Blair's brothers, Daniel, pleaded guilty to federal drug charges and was sentenced to 8 years and 4 months in prison. He and another man had been dealing crack. Daniel was released from prison January 19, 2007. But where is that brother? Because his charges were just drugs, not this other crazy shit they've been doing. kidnapping and murdering folks and beating folks. Lord have mercy. Ugh, of course, some of you'll say drugs is not good, and we know drugs aren't good for you, but it ain't nothing like what these other ones have been doing. 2 other nephews of Blair have faced criminal charges. In 2011, Diamond Blair, who had previously served part of an 18-year sentence for kidnapping, robbery, and forcible sodomy as a teenager, was convicted of federal firearm charges and sentenced to 24 years and 5 months in prison. Oh, Lord. Are you all 24? That's 5. He'll get out in 2035. In 2013, he was convicted of a second-degree murder, first-degree robbery, 2 counts of armed criminal action for killing 22-year-old Montague Kevin Ashland during a robbery in Kansas City on June 24, 2009. Diamond was sentenced to 2 life terms, plus 100 years on those charges. On appeal, his robbery conviction and one of his armed criminal action convictions were overturned, reducing his state sentence to life plus 50 years. Hell, still bad. However, his other 2 convictions were upheld. In December 1991, William Blair, then 16, received a 15-year sentence for first-degree robbery. So I'm wondering if this is his son, or this is another one. Oh, this is another nephew. Received a 15-year sentence for, and once again, first-degree robbery. He was released from prison September 28, 2003. William later faced 88 charges of robbery, assault, armed criminal action for a series of violent armed robberies at bars and other businesses from December 3rd, 2003 to January 8, 2004. Oh, he was just robbing up folks for a month. Damn. In some of the robberies, he and 3 other robbers would fire warning shots, kick, shove, pistol whip, and threaten to kill employees and customers. On October 7, 2004, William pleaded guilty to 17 counts of first-degree robbery, 19 counts of armed criminal action, 1 count of attempted robbery, and 1 count of first-degree assault. In exchange for his guilty plea, the other 50 charges were dropped. I don't understand what the hell I just read. "17 counts of first-degree robbery." So how much time did he get, this nephew, William Blair? Because all those charges, some of those charges were dropped, and said the other 50 were dropped. So God forbid he's walking free. Because those happened 2004. There's no way he'll be free. That's just 20 years now. Oh. 1982, murder of Angela Monroe. In 1982, Terry Blair was found guilty of killing Angela Monroe, the mother of 2 of Blair's children, and pregnant at the time. Wow, wow, wow. Are you all hearing this? So she had kids by him, 2 children by him, and was pregnant at the time. And she also was prostituting, allegedly. Blair was sentenced to 25 years imprisonment for this murder and was released on parole after 21 years, according to court records. He was angry with Monroe for performing acts of prostitution. The murders, 2003 to 2004. Alerted by a strong odor, a neighbor noticed 2 women's bodies in the garage of an abandoned home and notified police September 2nd, 2004. Late in the evening of September 3rd, an anonymous male caller contacted 911 dispatch to claim responsibility for killing the 2 victims discovered the day before and notified police where to find an additional body hidden in an alley a few blocks away from the first 2. The caller contacted 911 again on September 4th to reveal the location of 2 or more victims in an overgrown area near a highway and promised to call again. He stopped contacting dispatchers after a news station leaked information about how the caller was using a cell phone. Police found several additional murder victims, one of whom had earlier been erroneously classified as a drug overdose, and several women who reported rapes and assaults possibly linked to the murders. All the victims were found in a small radius near Prospect Avenue. Investigation gradually narrowed down on Blair as the suspect He was on parole for the 1982 murder of Monroe and also matched the description given by women who claimed to have survived rapes and physical assaults. So here we go. You raped Monroe back in 82 because she was a prostitute. She had 2 kids by you and 1 in her womb. You get out to only start killing women, and now we hear you also were raping women. Where does this behavior come from? Dear God, help me understand. Help me understand. So once again, he was on parole for the murder of Monroe in 82. He matched the description given by women who claimed to have survived rapes and physical assaults. A witness claimed Blair had threatened to kill prostitutes. Investigators were not able to tie Blair directly to the cell phone used to make the 911 calls, as if it had been stolen and subsequently used only to make 911 calls. But cell tower data established that the calls originated near where he lived. Blair was initially arrested on a parole violation charge, having failed to stay in contact with a probation officer, and was later charged with the homicides. October 15, 2004, Terry Blair was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of first-degree assault, 3 counts of forcible rape. Prosecutors agreed not to seek the death penalty in exchange for Blair waiving his right to a jury trial, and thus Judge John O'Malley oversaw the bench trial. 2 of the murder charges for Sandra Reed and Nelia Harris were dropped. The rape and assault charges were also dropped. Wow. Blow to the spirit. Although the evidence was mainly circumstantial, Blair's DNA was found on victim Sheila McKenzie. Blair's defense was that this item of evidence only proved he had engaged in sex with the victim. The prosecution countered that since she hadn't tied herself up afterwards, right, Blair must have been the last to see her alive. Blair denied making the 911 calls, and the prosecution introduced linguistic testimony to confirm their assertion that Blair made the 911 calls. The judge ruled the weight of evidence indicated the voice was Blair's. Judge O'Malley ruled Blair guilty in March 27, 2008, and he was sentenced to 6 life sentences with no possibility of parole for these murders. Because Blair continued to deny responsibility for the crimes until his death, his motive could not be understood beyond a compulsion to kill prostitutes. Blair was housed in the Potosi Correctional Center in Mineral Point, Missouri. Blair appealed his conviction, but his appeal was denied by the Missouri Court of Appeals in August of 2009. Here are the lists of the victims by Terry Blair. Angela Monroe. Anna Ewing, 42, died on or before July 14, 2004. Patricia Wilson Butler, 58, died on or before September 2nd, 2004. Sheila McKenzie, 38, died on or before September 2nd, 2004. Darcy I. Williams, 25, died on or before September 4th, 2004. Carmen Hunt, 40, September 4th, 2004. Claudette Jr., 31, died on or before September 4th, 2004. I wonder why they can't pinpoint. I guess from the autopsies. Interesting. Mr. Blair died at a prison hospital in Potosi, Missouri, May 11, 2024, at the age of 62. Blair's crimes are featured in the episodes of A Serial Killer Calls and The Killer Speaks on the television show The First 48. And that's where I first came to know Mr. Blair. So when I saw the video today, I realized that face looks familiar. And I said, oh my goodness, that's that guy in that episode of The First 48 where women were being found discarded in Kansas City and he was the suspect. Sweet Jesus. What a bio. So what was the real reason that Terry killed Miss Monroe in 1982 and then started killing these women once he got out of prison after doing 21 years? Is it true that she was a prostitute and he just could not accept it? He does 21 years in prison and comes out. He's still angry. He's bitter. He's mad at the world. And I can see that he would be angry still because now he's telling himself, I'm in this box because I killed her. So when he comes out, he's mad at everybody. Angry. And as you see, violence is all he knows. His own mother killed her common-law husband. His brother has killed 2 women. Nephews have killed people, armed robberies, drug trafficking. Other brothers have committed assault, murder. That's all they know. Could they have learned something different besides robbery, kidnapping people? Of course. But we have learned the stats of people growing up in the inner city, and if nobody is there to rear them properly and tell them there's a better way of living, they won't choose to do so. And many people have grown up in the inner cities, and they're not out here robbing, kidnapping people, raping people, sodomy, and unaliving. And it's just a damn shame that this is what these men thought to do, including his own sister. We can't leave her out. And what's so crazy about that? She, her husband, and another guy stabbed a man 30 times, geeked up, doped up. And then her husband later dies by the hands of his own damn son. So where are some of these brothers and sisters? Because they said they're all incarcerated. So what? They went back to prison, or it's from their earlier charges. What a hot butter mess. I'm literally dizzy from reading all that information. Now, this is a case where you say you really don't know anyone. And just the thought that 16-year-old girl was staying in an apartment with him, and he was out here killing women. So, see, we don't know if he was killing women while that girl was staying with him, because they didn't say on the news what month she was living with him. But they believe he was killing between, 2003, 2004, and he got apprehended September 2004. So, was he dating anyone? Seeing anyone? If he was living alone, how did he pay his bills? How was he working? How did he meet the victims? Just go up to him and talk to him, hey, you want a date? But he had no intention of paying for the date. Probably had sex with him and then choked him, beat him to death, or strangled him to death, and then went on to the next. And it'll be really interesting to know he was killing simultaneously. Pick up one lady, kill her, then go pick up another lady, kill her same day, a couple hours later. Because usually serial killers take a break. You know, they kill one lady today, they may not kill another woman until maybe 3 weeks from now. But I guess it depends on your mindset and your stamina. But my goodness. Trauma breeds trauma. Chaos breeds chaos. I said that all the time pertaining to true crime. That nothing good comes with true crime. I don't care if the person's missing, they're deceased, it brings drama. And you can see that with this family dynamic. Mother killing her boyfriend, live-in boyfriend. Now her children are mimicking what they've seen from the mother. So I won't doubt the mother and the boyfriend probably had a tumultuous relationship. So now you got her children living around, seeing this abuse. Because what you have to ask yourself, why did she kill the boyfriend? See, stay woke. Because there probably was abuse. Probably was drug use, alcohol use. And the children are witnessing this. And then they go out in the street and they mimic what they've seen. So if a boy child is watching somebody beat up his mother, he's either going to treat women well, exceptionally well, or he's going to do the same to a woman. And that's why a lot of guys beat up women, because their mothers were beat up. So she had boy children beating up people, killing people, rape, sodomy, and her own daughter. You can't get any worse than this. Drug induced, leads you to stab a man 30 times. And the sister, what? Killed her boyfriend. Gomez. Forgot about that. Or I think that's the same guy. I ain't mistaken, the Gomez guy. Hold on. Let's see. Go back up here. 1 second. I want to make sure I didn't repeat the wrong thing. Yeah. In 1989, Warnetta killed her boyfriend, Pablo P. Gomez, a drug dealer from Cuba. Body was found bound and gagged. According to prosecutors, Gomez had threatened to cut off his girlfriend's supply of crack. Warnetta said she and a male friend did not intend to kill Gomez and only tied him up so they could take his drugs and money. She and her friend then went to a neighbor's apartment and said they had messed up Pablo before smoking crack. In August 1990, Warnetta pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and received a 10-year sentence. And she was released from prison in December 1999. So 99 is a long time from now. It's over 20 years ago. Where is Warnetta now? And then he goes on to talk about his brother Clifford and his brother Daniel. I think I've heard all I can muster up, because this is too foul for me. What I've just repeated. This is all he's seen. Is violence, Terry Blair. And what's so sad is to be in a violent home, have a mother who's committed murder, and then you've committed murder, and then you get out of prison and commit more murders and rapes and assaults. Your sister has committed murder. Your brother has killed 2 women. Then the other brother, drug charges, and then nephews also murder. You can't make this up. I mean, I think I'm just truly baffled at this moment. What I have just read to you all. I want to thank you all for joining me. This content is pertaining to Terry Blair, 62, who died in a prison hospital out in Kansas. He's been accused of killing 6 or 7 women, more, charged with, I believe, 6. 2 cases dropped. And this was his bio pertaining to his life and the ratchet legacy that he has left behind, which is absolutely nothing but pure filth. Pure filth. Feel free to go into the YouTube queue to see if you can pull up the first 48 on Terry Blair. I'll go in there and see if I can find it, and I'll share it to my community page. If I find a good movie for you all to watch, I'll also share it to my community page this weekend for your entertainment. I want to thank you for following this network. Welcome all new subs and viewers. Thank you all for the support. You have been listening to live number 3 pertaining to Terry Blair, African-American serial killer out of Kansas City, Missouri, and Michael Gray Jr., who has pled guilty to 2 misdemeanors and 2 felonies in the unaliving deaths of his adoptive brother and sister. His parents also pled guilty to murder this week, and they have received 2 life consecutive sentences here in Roane County, and his charge was in Knox County. 2 children's bodies were found in 2 different locations, one in Knox County and one in Roane County, where the parents had moved to another home from the brother's house out of Knox County. I do believe he should have gotten more time in prison. I don't think he got enough time, and that's my personal opinion. Feel free to take the poll on my community page. Was it right for him to only get 1 year in prison and 7 years supervised probation? If you'd like to donate to this great network, $BeGanji 129 Cash App, stickers and chats always welcome during the live stream. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Lolo and Linda, Kimberly. Thank you all so much for following and tuning in. I think I'm going to do it for today because I'm just distressed right now. Really listening to that, it's depressing, severely depressing. And that's what's sad, is that people can be way more than what they've gotten themselves into, the trouble they get themselves into. Because as I said, a lot of these crimes that you're hearing, such as this, he didn't have to kill Angela Monroe in 82. He didn't have to kill those other 8 women or so. His brothers, they didn't have to kill the people they killed. Young girls, just snuffed them out. No regard. Witness intimidation, all of that. Sodomy, armed robbery, kidnapping. Just charge after charge after charge. Sister, she's killed. Boyfriend, dope dealer, gone. Girl brought up here to Tennessee, burned up. All because she found out her boyfriend was cheating on her. Walk away. And a few people have been saying that on the articles. Why can't you just walk away? You want to forfeit your life on some shit you have done and you got caught up in. You've been lying, manipulating to a human being. They catch you and you decide, well, I'm going to strangle you to death. I'm going to strangle you because I'm a liar. Just think about that for a second. You're going to forfeit your freedom because you've been caught in a lie. This is your mindset. Choke a woman out and you got a baby with her. And then you got a new wife and she helps you get a car to dump the girlfriend. Are y'all hearing that? Please check out that video in my short on Brianna Winston. African-American female, gone, dead, murdered. All because she found out her boyfriend was cheating on her. Got married months before her death. Don't know the order of the women who was messing with him first, but it's tragic nonetheless. So this is why I tell young ladies, you see the signs, they're rotten, they're lying, they don't want to do anything, drugs, alcohol, stay in trouble, keep going to jail, run like hell. That's not a life you want for yourself at 20, at 30, at 40, 50, and God knows past 50, we should not be talking to nobody that wants to keep going to fucking jail, getting in trouble, violating probation. What's the point? You can't even have anything with a person. They don't stay out of jail long enough. They don't stay out of jail. And this rule goes for men too, because some of them like bad girls, bad women. You tell yourself, I deserve better. I am worthy. You tell yourself that every day you get up and you look in the mirror and you tell yourself that when you go to bed, before you go to bed, I am worthy and I deserve the best. And it doesn't matter if you are rich, you are poor, you're middle class, you're working class. You tell yourself I'm worthy. If nobody else tells you, you tell yourself I'm worthy. Thank you for your time. You've been listening to the Vault XL.